Man, Cowboys Nation, what a week it's been. You can just feel the frustration building up in the air, right? Everybody's talking about what's wrong with this team, the defense, the coaching, the locker room vibes. And honestly, there's a lot to unpack. But before we start pointing fingers, let's take a step back and look at what's really going on in Dallas right now, because the noise is loud, and a lot of people seem to be losing sight of what actually matters on the field. Let's start with the energy at practice. You can tell the wind's been howling in Dallas lately, both literally and figuratively. 40-mile-per-hour gusts and a whole storm of hot takes swirling around the Cowboys. Reporters are throwing questions left and right, trying to find cracks in the team's confidence. But when the cameras turn on and the microphones hit the table, it's the same message from the staff. Stay focused, stay the course, and take it one day at a time. Easier said than done when fans are already talking about trades, firing coaches, and blowing everything up. The conversation around the defense has been relentless. Every time the Cowboys drop a game, it's like clockwork. Here comes the Micah Parsons talk. Oh, if Micah were still here, this defense wouldn't collapse like that. Bro, stop. That's getting old. One player doesn't fix the kind of issues we're seeing. Football isn't built like that. You could drop a superstar in the middle of a broken system and still lose if the fundamentals aren't right. We've seen this movie before, even when Micah was in Dallas. Great individual stats, but the same defensive breakdowns. That tells you something. The thing is, the Cowboys have talent on that side of the ball. You've got guys who can rush, tackle, cover. It's not a personnel problem. It's a unit problem. You can't play elite defense when half the field is out of sync. The linebacker communication has been off, the tackling has been sloppy, and the adjustments mid-game just haven't been sharp enough. It's one thing to get beat by elite offenses. It's another to keep beating yourself with missed fits and mental lapses. And yeah, the coaches know it. They've been talking about seeing less, which basically means simplifying what the linebackers are reading so they stop second-guessing and start reacting faster. When you're overthinking on defense, you lose your edge. You hesitate, and in this league, 1 second late means 6 points on the board. So the focus right now is getting those guys back to instinctive football. It's not about reinventing the playbook. It's about executing the basics and trusting your teammates to do their jobs. Meanwhile, the offense is over there catching strays for no reason. Out of nowhere, someone throws out that line. You can take the offensive stats and shove them. Like what? Why are we attacking the only unit keeping this team competitive? The offense isn't perfect, but if you're watching the games, you can see they're the reason the Cowboys even have a chance most weeks. Dak's been composed, the receivers are getting open, and the line is holding up enough to move the ball. It's the defense that's been leaking points, not the offense padding stats for no reason. That kind of misplaced frustration tells me the pressure's getting to people in the building. And let's not act like the noise isn't creeping into the locker room. Reporters keep asking about trades, roster changes, and outside opinions. But the truth is, the Cowboys can't control any of that. All they can do is prepare for the next opponent. Right now, that's the Arizona Cardinals. And even though Arizona's record might not look impressive, don't be fooled. They've been in every single game this year. We're talking about 2-point losses, 3-point losses, games that come down to one possession. That's not a bad football team. That's a dangerous one waiting for a mistake. And then there's Kyler Murray. You know the storyline already. The guy is undefeated at AT&T Stadium, from high school through college, and now in the pros. 9 wins, 0 losses in that building. That's insane. But maybe, just maybe, this is the week that streak ends. The Cowboys better hope so, because if Kyler gets comfortable, it's going to be a long afternoon for Dallas. His speed, his vision, his ability to turn a broken play into a highlight. That's the kind of stuff that drives defensive coordinators insane. You think you've got him boxed in, and then he slips out, rolls left, and finds a man 20 yards downfield. The scary part is, this Cowboys defense hasn't exactly been known for discipline lately. Missed contain, broken coverage, bad angles. That's the stuff Kyler feasts on. So if they don't clean it up, it's going to be another long night of what went wrong press conferences. And nobody wants to hear that again. What's wild is that even with all the chaos, the team still has guys stepping up behind the scenes. You've got players lining up at the coach's door, literally asking to get back on the field and help. That tells you there's still heart in this locker room. The chemistry is there, the desire is there, but it's not translating into consistent results. It's like having all the ingredients for a great meal, but burning it every Sunday because you're rushing the recipe. Now, when it comes to preparation, you can see they're trying to reset. They've got an extra day this week, and they're using it as a bonus day. Tightening up the third down plan, working through communication, reviewing film. It's about fixing the small details that keep costing them games late. Because at the end of the day, that's where Dallas keeps falling short, closing out tight games. The coach said it best: confidence wins close games. It's not just about skill, it's about knowing you can finish. When you've done it before, you trust yourself to do it again. But when you keep coming up short, that doubt creeps in. That's what separates the good teams from the great ones. And right now, the Cowboys are stuck somewhere in between, trying to figure out which side they belong on. And look, this schedule hasn't done them any favors either. Back-to-back primetime games, short weeks, constant media pressure. It's the price of being America's team. Everyone either loves you or wants to see you fail. There's no middle ground. Every mistake becomes a headline. Every quote becomes a controversy. And every loss feels like the end of the world. But that's also what makes being a Cowboy different. The expectations are higher here. You're not just playing football, you're playing under a spotlight that never turns off. The fans demand greatness, the media thrives on drama, and the team is stuck somewhere trying to balance both. That's why the Cowboys have to shut out the noise, because if they don't, it's going to eat them alive from the inside. And right now, it's about getting back to that mindset, not listening to outside chatter, not worrying about who's blaming who, just lining up, executing, and proving it on the field. Because at the end of the day, talk doesn't win games. Execution does. And if Dallas wants to get back on track, that's exactly where the focus has to be. You know what really gets me, Cowboys Nation? It's how fast the narrative swings depending on the scoreboard. One week, everyone's talking about Dak Prescott as an MVP candidate, about how he's finally in rhythm, the offense clicking, everything looking balanced. Then the next loss hits, and suddenly it's all about traits, bad play calling, and how the team can't handle the moment. It's exhausting, man. The Cowboys can't live in that emotional roller coaster, and neither can the fans if we're being real. You can't build consistency when every mistake becomes a crisis. It's wild how some of these press conferences go, too. You'll hear a coach talk about trusting the process or blocking out the noise, but sometimes the frustration leaks out. You can feel it in the tone, the body language, even in the random comments that sound more like venting than coaching. Like that moment where the coach snapped about people bringing up offensive stats. That wasn't just frustration with the media, that was frustration with everything boiling underneath. The pressure, the expectations, the feeling that this team should be better than what the record says. When you're sitting at 3, 4, and 1, it's not a disaster, but it's definitely not what this roster was built for. And that's where leadership has to step up. Dak's done a solid job keeping the group steady, but there's only so much a quarterback can do when the defense is leaking and the team's energy starts to dip. The locker room needs those veteran voices to remind everyone that this isn't new. Every season has rough patches. Every contender hits walls. The difference between the good teams and the ones that fade away is how they respond when the pressure's on. You look around the league, and the teams that win in December and January are the ones that stay calm when everything feels like it's falling apart. The Cowboys have to become one of those teams again. And honestly, that starts with how they prepare. From everything coming out of the facility, they're using this extra week to reset the basics: tackling, communication, red zone efficiency. Because it doesn't matter how talented you are if you can't finish drives or get off the field on third down. Those are the plays that separate the top-tier teams from the ones still trying to prove they belong. And speaking of proving it, let's talk about this upcoming matchup against Arizona. This is one of those trap games that fans love to ignore until it's too late. On paper, Dallas should win. The Cardinals are banged up, their record is rough, but if you actually watch them play, you see a team that fights every snap. They don't quit. Kyler Murray is still Kyler Murray, lightning quick, deadly accurate, and impossible to contain for 4 quarters. The Cowboys have struggled with mobile quarterbacks all season, and if they don't stay disciplined, he's going to make them pay for it. You can already hear the anxiety in some of the fan base. Oh, Kyler's never lost at AT&T Stadium. Yeah, we all know that stat by heart now. 9 wins, 0 losses, that's crazy. But streaks are made to be broken. If there's ever a time for Dallas to remind everyone who they are, it's now. You don't want to go into the bye week with another loss hanging over your head, listening to every talking head question your toughness and your heart. You need that win to reset the momentum, to prove that all this talk about focus and accountability actually means something. And I'll say this, despite the frustration, despite the inconsistencies, this team still has fight. You can see it in the young players trying to earn their reps, in the backups hungry to get on the field, in the guys knocking on the coach's door asking for a chance to contribute. That's not a broken locker room. That's a team searching for answers, but refusing to quit. That matters. Because when things start to click, when all 11 guys start trusting each other again, that's when the Cowboys become dangerous. Still, it's hard to ignore how draining this schedule has been. Monday night games, short weeks, Thursday night turnarounds, it's brutal. Every time they find a little rhythm, the schedule throws a wrench into it. And while the coach says it's just part of being the Cowboys, you can tell it wears on them. Playing under the biggest spotlight in football means you never get a break. Every mistake gets magnified, every quote gets twisted, and every loss feels like the end of the world. But that's also the price of being America's team. People love you or hate you, but they always talk about you. That spotlight can be a blessing or a curse. Some guys thrive in it, others crumble. And right now, Dallas needs more of the former. They need guys who don't flinch when things get ugly, who don't care about the outside noise, who just line up and play ball. Because that's what's missing right now, that raw, gritty edge that used to define this team. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have that hunger, that we're not losing today mindset, you're never going to reach the next level. The fans feel it, too. You can sense the tension in the comments, on social media, in the stadium. Everybody's tired of the same story, strong starts, mid-season collapses, and the same excuses in press conferences. People don't want words anymore. They want action. They want results. And honestly, that's fair. Cowboys fans have been patient for too long, loyal through too much heartbreak. They just want a team that matches their passion. So here we are again. Another week, another chance to prove something. The question is, which version of the Cowboys are we going to get? The one that shows flashes of greatness, flying around the field, clicking on all cylinders? Or the one that loses focus, gives up easy plays, and looks lost when adversity hits? That's what we'll find out soon enough. Before we roll on, subscribe to Cowboys Wire News, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Your support keeps the Dallas Cowboys updates coming. Tell us what you think in the comments. In what is quickly becoming one of the most whispered about stories of the NFL offseason, veteran offensive tackle TYRON Smith has reportedly expressed deep regret over his decision to leave the Dallas Cowboys. Sources close to the star lineman suggest that Smith, who had long been a cornerstone of Dallas' offensive line, is quietly rethinking his departure and the impact it has had on both his career and the team he once called home. TYRON Smith's exit from the Cowboys was met with mixed reactions at the time. Some analysts praised his decision to seek a fresh challenge, while others warned that the Cowboys would feel the void left by one of their most reliable protectors of the quarterback. Now, according to insider chatter, Smith himself is privately admitting that perhaps the grass wasn't greener on the other side. Friends close to the player hint at late-night calls back to former teammates, nostalgic conversations about practices, and an unmistakable longing for the camaraderie and culture that defined his years in Dallas. The NFL world is no stranger to player regrets, but it is rare for a player of Smith's stature, an 8-time Pro Bowler and a multiple-time All-Pro, to publicly acknowledge what might be perceived as second thoughts. Rumors are swirling that this revelation could open the door to a potential return to the Cowboys, although no formal talks have been confirmed. Some insiders speculate that Dallas front office may quietly be keeping a line of communication open, recognizing the value of bringing back a veteran presence who not only dominates in the trenches, but also brings leadership and experience to a young roster. Smith's situation has already sparked fevered debate among fans and analysts alike. Could the Cowboys realistically welcome back a player who once walked away, or would such a move require a dramatic reshuffling of contracts and roster priorities? While speculation runs rampant, one thing seems clear. TYRON Smith's lingering regret has created one of the most tantalizing what-if scenarios of the offseason. As the NFL gears up for the next season, all eyes may very well be on whether this veteran lineman attempts a dramatic homecoming, rekindling the bond that once made him a cornerstone of the Dallas Cowboys. That's a wrap from Cowboys Wire News. For breaking Cowboys updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Tell us your take in the comments.